nothing to do. Good morning or good...
I didn't know it.
We're so used to this. Produce content and have conversations for those... So go to the lobby. Good morning or good evening, depending on whatever shift your seniority allows you to hold. I'm William Young, correctional officer, author, and advocate for the correctional profession. Tonight I'll be your ever so gracious host and director of dialogue for the duration of this discussion. Allow me to welcome you with warm, unwavering outstretch and open arms to this week's edition of... You already know what you're watching. How's everybody doing tonight? I'm just doing a little impromptu live. I haven't been live for a couple of weeks, but why is the intro so long? Hey, Roland, how you doing? Sean, Matt, Don, BJ, how you doing tonight? You know, why is the intro so long? That's a good question. I'm doing some Q&A, and I'm going to answer some questions tonight, and my buddy Roland, who is my co-host on the 10-9 podcast, I hope you guys have all checked that out. He wants to know why my intro is so long. The intro is so long because I know that you, Roland, have to use the bathroom several times throughout the podcast, and I want to give you the opportunity to, when you hear it, when the music kicks in, you know that you have enough time to get to the restroom so you can enjoy the show. And that's the whole point of it. It's to give you time. I got a little sip here. Tonight, you know what I did? Thanks, Audrey. I've been working on it. There's a lot of stuff out there for corrections. There's a lot of very good information out there, but some of it's very, very dry. And so I want to be a little different. So when I sit down in my chair in my command center here, and I got my light, and I've got my my little drink tonight, and I've got my hat on backwards, my headphones, it makes me want to sing because I get excited because I like doing the show. I like talking to everybody. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Valerie, Trish. Sarah, I miss seeing myself live, too. I've had some crazy things happen the last few weeks, right? And so sometimes when you're full steam ahead, when you have a lot of things on your plate, and you're also a dad and a husband, and you have to kind of, maintain employment, things get in the way a little bit. So I had to take a step back. I had to try a couple of different things, see if I liked going live, if I didn't like going live. What's up, Rachel? How you doing? And I do like going live. So I hope, what's everybody doing tonight? I'm doing Dustin, he does not use the restroom for the entire show, but that's what I should do. I should just set up the equipment in the restroom so he could just record, although the acoustics would be just a little bit more echoey. Though I'm going to take a drink here real quick. Hang on. Pat, how you doing, brother? So guess what I did tonight, everybody? Guess what I did tonight? Do I have another question? What are the best boots that you have used that are comfortable through the whole shift? Well, Brian Sims, thanks for that question. Hey, David, how you doing? I actually take off my shoes. See, I'm a 16-year veteran, right? So I show up to work, my shirt's untucked, I look disheveled, I'm not shaven, half my equipment I don't have, and I have the zipper boots on the side. I don't even zip them. I don't zip them. I don't tie them. Nothing. Yeah, so that's what I do. So I don't know if I'm the appropriate person. And what do you mean by a whole shift? Do you mean an 8-hour shift, 12-hour shift, or our fantastic force-fed double shift? That's what I want. So please specify. Yeah, Roland, thanks. I changed. I am dressed up. I went from a black shirt to a gray shirt tonight. Gray shirt is dressed up. Okay. I have 2 sets of clothes. I have a uniform that I wear 70 hours a week, and then I have pajamas. And so I'm wearing my pajamas while I'm going live. So that's what I'm doing. I wasn't gonna go live tonight. I took my here. Let me answer this question seriously, Brian. The boots I wear right now, Brian, are actually Under Armour boots, and but don't tell anybody that I talked about this kind of thing, okay? Okay, let's go double shift. There's also a difference between date night underwear and double shift underwear, just in case anybody's taking notes, okay? Huge difference. Don't make that mistake, okay? And if it's laundry day, you better prepare. Okay, that's part of it. But right now I wear Under Armour boots, and they're not super expensive. And I have wore expensive boots in the past, but these boots, and I don't have them with me now, but and maybe I'll post a link in the description here, give them a little shout out. But they're super comfortable. They feel like they're wearing tennis shoes. You can still shine them. And then they have the zipper on the side. The last pair I had of Under Armour boots didn't have the zipper on the side. They just had the tie. Still super comfortable. Still very, very comfortable. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good boots out there. I don't know. I'm just not going to pay a ton of money, because I don't want to. So, but Under Armour is what I wear, buddy, on my double shift. And honestly, I get them when I can find them on sale, cheap. I tell my wife, I say, hey, I need new boots. I buy 2 pair at a time, and I wear them until I can't wear them anymore. And usually get a couple of years out of them. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Hey, Shelly, how you doing? Audrey loves her Rocky boots when she was a CO. All right. Hey, Olivia, how you doing? Audrey, thank you. Pat, what's up, buddy? Let's see who I got here. Scrolling through. Oh, I love you guys for jumping on live here. Okay, Sarah Zimmerman wants to know. Sarah Zimmerman is my probably, I don't know. I don't have fans. What I have is a fantastic family of supporters, of fellow correctional officers, friends and family of correctional officers that give me this fantastic opportunity to have this voice, to be a voice for corrections, and to kind of have this little platform here, and hopefully I share some stuff that you guys like, that makes sense to you, that that you can take and it helps you along the path. That's really my goal. That's my mission. I just want to help. When I started writing, I just want to help that one person. So Sarah wants to know, what's my favorite thing about working corrections and then community corrections, which I'm currently assigned. So let me say that my favorite part was you making zucchini bread for me at community. That was my favorite part. No, let me tell you. Here's my favorite part about working corrections. And I have this joke where people ask, how come I'm not a cop, or how come I didn't go try to be a cop? And the reality is that now, obviously, I'm too fat, old, and broken down to even try to be a cop. But when I was younger, when I could, and I applied for police departments. I did the obstacle course. I got on. I was going through the process to get on our local police department, and then we had a shooting. A couple police officers got shot, and my wife was pregnant at the time, and I remember her freaking out, saying, "I can't believe you want to do that. I can't believe you want to go out and risk, not coming home." Although corrections has similar risks, it's just normal people always see police work as more dangerous. And so I decided to stop and just stay with corrections. Plus, my personality really fits what we need to do inside. And I always joke. So if somebody says, "Hey, Bill, why aren't you a cop?" I say, "Well, I like people too much to be a cop." And and it's kind of a joke, but the reality of it is that as correctional officers, we spend so much time with these guys, right? Police officers, they deal with them on the street. They see the same people over and over again. But the relationships that we can foster in corrections, right? They bring in this person, and then we get to spend the next 10 days, 10 weeks, 10 months, 10 years, 16 years. I've been there so long, I got people's kids coming in, right? And you get to work with this population of people. Excuse me, I had a nose hair. Part of growing old, I haven't figured this out quite yet, is being able to trim my nose hairs effectively. And honestly, I wear a mask everywhere I go, so I really haven't paid much attention to to what's going on there anyways. But correctional officers get to work with a population of people that nobody else wants to work with, right? People that your normal neighbors, your normal friends and family, when they see these people or they hear about these people on the news, man, they couldn't do it. They don't even want to know that these people exist, right? But that's what's fun to me, is that we get to go in and we get to form this awesome working relationship with these people and give them these little nuggets of advice and just it's just so crazy, right? That I'm on like first name basis with like people that my neighbors don't even know exist. And that's so awesome to me. I mean, and it's weird that I feel so comfortable there. I mean, it's just to me, there's an immense pleasure of dealing and helping and serving a population of people that society has thrown away, that they don't want anything to do with, right? So that's kind of a long-winded answer about why I enjoy working corrections. Now, let's switch over to community. I'll get to all your questions, man. I appreciate everybody been doing. Who else do I got on here? Hi, Olivia. Brad Harbin, is that George Dickel? No, this is Rowan's. Let's see if I can get it up here. Rowan's Creek. Rowan's Creek and Diet Coke tonight. Hey, Corey, how you doing, buddy? What's up, Javion? How you doing, brother? You like the CNT cup behind my head? That CNT cup, that's one of my prized possessions right there, because these people right here, and I did a video about it. Being part of this team, being part of this family, the crisis negotiation family, one of the biggest accomplishments of my life. One of the proudest things, best things I've ever done. I love you guys. I didn't want to leave. That's the thing. I felt bad because I felt like I was intruding on your family. And speaking of that, I think it's Jed's birthday today. I think it's Jed Limoges from CNT. What's up, Freddie? How you doing, buddy? I think it's his birthday today. So I'm going to fill my deal up here. So I want everybody, if you could type in there, happy birthday to Jed here if you want to comment. All right. And let's sing Jed. I'm going to answer your community correction question in just a second here, Sarah. Let's sing happy birthday to Jed, okay? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jed. Happy birthday to you. Jed's awesome guy. Jed and his wife and the whole CNT family. And speaking of that, let me. There was a member of the Missouri Department of Corrections. Some members came up when we were taking that course a couple years ago. One of them, Jeremy, got in a horrible traffic accident a couple of weeks ago, and he's still in the hospital. He's still in ICU. As of a few nights ago, he's still on a ventilator. So I want to. I've been getting updates from Shelly down there, and I appreciate that. I want to send my thoughts, my prayers, my love, my everything to Jeremy, to the Department of Corrections down there, and to all his friends and family. That's terrible, and I hope he recovers fully. Because you do, man. You grow a bond. God, you just grow a bond with these people when you go through these trainings, when you go through just situations and corrections, just in general. You wear that same uniform, and you just love each other, and that's it. So, Sarah, why do I love community corrections? Well, if I was in an interview, let's pretend I'm in an interview. Hang on. Mr. Young, can you tell us why you want to be a part of the department, the Community Corrections Department? Well, yeah, I'm glad you asked. I believe that community corrections is the future of corrections. I don't believe that locking people up, taking everything that they've ever worked for away from them, locking them up, and then putting them back on the street and saying, here, now go be good, works. I think that there has to be a bridge from incarceration to reintegration, and I think that community corrections, let me say that again. I think there has to be a bridge from incarceration to reintegration, and I think that community corrections is that bridge. And for me, who I already explained why I love the job, why I love talking to the people, but for me, community corrections people, clients, inmates, I mean, we're there to help them, to help them with their there's nothing that makes me more happy than when a client says, "Hey, Mr. Young, I'm taking my GED test tomorrow." And he's studying, and can I help him with this? Or, hey, Mr. Young, I had to write this paper. Can you read this for me? Can you let me know what you think? Hey, Mr. Young, I'm going for a job interview tomorrow, my first job interview ever, and this is a 25-year-old guy. Can you give me some tips? Yeah, number one, pull up your pants, right? You get to be such an important part of their, I mean, you are... I had an old, let me put my hat back on, hang on. I had an old partner who described, he hated the job, and he said that corrections was a landfill and that community corrections was a recycling center. But there's a little bit of truth to that, because what we get to do over there is so awesome. We get to take these people and we get to help them get their ID. We get to help them get jobs. We get to help them stay on track. We essentially get to be like their parents, right? And it is so fun, and it is so rewarding to see them change, to see them mature, to see them just get it, right? It's like being a coach. If you've ever coached youth sports or anything like that, it's the same kind of feeling. To see that when it actually clicks, and then when they get out, and I always tell them, hey, 6 months down the road, 8 months down the road, give me a call. Let me know you're doing okay. And they do. Some of them do, and it's so awesome. So that's why I love being part of community corrections. All right, Pat Barry says here, if you were hired as the Broncos head coach, how would you fix them? We don't talk sports or politics on the podcast, Patrick. But here's what I do. If I was the head coach, I'd fire myself. I would rehire Gary Kubiak, and I would let him do whatever he wants. And I would actually hire the NFL's got a different looking quarterback nowadays. The people who are doing the best have mobile quarterbacks, and that's what I would do. I would go get a kid that was a mobile quarterback. And go from there, and then get some linemen that didn't always get holding penalties. That's what I do. All right, David Jordan, Krista, how you doing? Yeah, look at all these happy birthdays for Jed. That's awesome. Jason, how you doing, brother? Fred, you didn't know I could sing? That's awesome. All right, Peter's got on. He had to go to the bathroom. All right, so what's with the Pee-wee doll? I had a traumatic experience with that doll when I was a kid. Well, Mr. Jordan, Let me bring Paul Rubin over here. Paging Mr. Herman. Mr. Herman, you have a telephone call at the front desk. What was your traumatic experience? So, I have a box of things downstairs, toys that my dad, probably 25 years ago, 30 years ago, decided to start buying dolls and toys. He did what every, 40, 45, 50-year-old male does, and starts buying weird shit. And then, this is, I'm collecting these. I'm collecting Husker Barbies. I'm collecting, Hot Wheels. And then next thing you know, you're fixing up an old car. But anyways, I took some stuff. I have old Paul Rubens here, and I have an Ed Grimley one too. And I was looking for stuff to put up behind me, and I figured Paul Rubens would be good. So listen.
I love you.
Yikes! He said he loves me.
I know you are, but what am I?
I know you are, but what am I? That sounded like Yoda. So he's We got a social distance, me and Paul Rubens. He's got to be back there. Well, I wonder what your send me a message, David. Let me know what your traumatic event with that doll. I don't know if it was that particular doll. Maybe it was just a Pee-wee doll. Hey, Robbie Chaos, how you doing? Keeler, Mom Keeler, Carrie, how you doing? Pat, that was a weird movie. All right, I got another question here. Matt Lewis, how you doing, buddy? Besides yourself, Dustin wants to know, beside myself, what is my favorite podcast? Why does everybody assume that I like to listen to myself so much? That's what's crazy. My favorite podcast is Surviving Danger Close with John Ramirez and Dustin Durain. That's my favorite podcast. No, but that is a podcast that you should check out. They just started doing it. I had John on the show a few weeks ago. Super awesome dude. I've had a couple phone calls with him, and it's going to be super entertaining. I listen to a couple of different podcasts, and it depends on what kind of mood I'm in. When I'm mowing my grass, there's a podcast I listen to called Tinfoil Hat, and they talk about anything from werewolves to Wayfair to demonic possession to aliens to whatever. I mean, there are a couple of comedians, and they have guests on there, and it's kind of funny. So I listen to that. I listen to Roll Call Room. All the guys and gals that I have on my show that have podcasts, I support them. I listen to them. I don't just bring somebody on the show that I'm like, oh, this, whatever. They just got a podcast. I just want them to, chat. I want to make sure I like it. I support it. I spent a lot of time listening to Tier Talk videos. They had a podcast for a little bit. That kind of good information. Let me look. Let me pull up my Apple Tunes here real quick. If you guys got a minute here, I'll tell you what I got. Probably my favorite. I forgot about this one. My favorite is the Bad Friends podcast, and it's got Andrew Santino and Bobby Lee. Freaking hilarious. Hilarious. And they got it on YouTube too, so you can watch it. If you can watch it, it's hilarious. You can listen to it, it's hilarious. It is hilarious. So yeah, that's probably Bad Friends, and then Tinfoil Hat. I haven't got real adventurous with there's a couple of podcasts I listen to about Stephen King books. I'm kind of a nerd, but yeah. So let's go here. Let's see here. A bully destroyed it because it would stop saying, because I know you are, but what am I? I still sound like Yoda, and I don't even watch Yoda. I know you are, but what am I? Brad Harbin says the Three Guys Around a Fire Pit podcast, but that includes me, Brad. So that doesn't count. Hey Betty, how you doing? I wish we could come out and visit Betty. She lives in Colorado. Great friends of ours, family. And we missed those guys. We didn't go out this year because of the stupid pandemic. So how are we doing tonight? Next week, real quick. Next week I got Anthony Ganji. I'm going to be live next week again. Saturday night I got Anthony Ganji. The following week I got Carl Waggett coming on. And then I don't know from there. But I got that. I got those shows coming up. Second book's in the works. The editor's got it. I should get it back here in about 2 weeks. I'm going to crank that out. And hey, Ann, how you doing? Amanda? Shameless, Brad. Shameless plug. But the book, and I think I told you guys the title of it. It's called The Nothing That Never Happens. And I'm working on a promo and a pre-order thing going right now. It's going to be a follow-up to my When Home Becomes a Housing Unit book that's available on Amazon. And if you haven't got a chance to read that, check it out. Read it. Let me know what you think. I got Pat and Brad are arguing in the comments here. I had an interesting... we've had... man... Our facility has had a wild year, and even a wilder couple of weeks. And I can't share any of the details, but just please, if you got time, send some thoughts, prayers out to the officers that and staff that work at our facility, because I don't know what else could happen. It's like working in the twilight zone right now, and thankfully we have decent leadership. Thankfully we have amazing, dedicated correctional professionals that are holding it down, because shit's getting crazy, and I'm thankful. I saw an old coworker tonight. I was standing. This is funny. I was cleaning out my garage. This truck was creeping down my street, and I stopped. He kind of stopped, so I came out of my garage because I want to see who that is. Grab the license plate real quick and see why this person's in my neighborhood, right? And then he backed up, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" And it ended up being an old coworker. Man, he looked great. And so we chatted for a little bit, but that was really fun. Matt, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for your comments on the podcast the other night, buddy. I appreciate it. So I went to a haunted house tonight, and I took my my kids and the neighbor and his kids, and we went to a haunted house. It's been a couple of years since I've been to one, and it's really not probably the best. I don't know. As a correctional officer, being jammed into a dark, tight space with a bunch of people that I don't like, and loud noises and strobe lights and everything else. Yeah, it's probably not the best environment for somebody with with my issues, but I went, and I had a great time. It was just the right amount of scare for the kids. Excuse me. You're not supposed to drink soda when you're doing a podcast because it makes you gassy. But I'm mixing my whiskey and Coke tonight, so that's what happens. It was the right amount of scare. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a scarier haunted house. And if you guys have any haunted house recommendations, scary haunted house recommendations, hey, this is telling me that I can bring people on camera. Put them on the leave them in the comments so I know where to take these kids, because I want to kind of freak them out. I want to scare them. Do we have any other questions here? Let's see. Did I answer the community corrections one? I did. Yeah. Self-proclaimed biggest fan. I'm going to heart that, Sarah. You're awesome. You're awesome. David Jordan wears UA boots. David, I had him on the show, and he runs Project Watchtower, which is a Facebook group, correctional officers dealing with mental health and suicide. You got to support him, check him out. Guys, we need officers, staff members at every facility championing this cause. Championing, being a champion for this cause. Let's do that. And because we can't wait for administration to say, hey guys, we're going to do this course, and we want you to take this course, and we're going to do all this for you. They're going to work on those things, they're going to do those things, but it needs to come from people, from officers, from staff members that see the need, that feel the need, that are watching their brothers and sisters kind of struggle, and they need to kind of push that course. And if we can get a few of those people at every facility that aren't afraid to beat down the door, that aren't afraid to say, hey, look, bad shit is going to happen if we don't have a team in place, if we don't have information in place. But that's what it's going to take. It's going to take officers to... What's up, Michael? How you doing, buddy? We're just doing a little impromptu Q&A, so if you have something you want to ask, shoot. So let me ask you guys a question. What would you do in this situation? Two inmates walk up to you. You're working a post. Two inmates walk up to you, and the one inmate standing to the right. He's short, young, and he's got his little long john sleeve shirt on. And the next to you, the guy, he just came in. He's a little tall, a little slender, got some weird glasses on. And he's asking you, the tall one is asking you to tell the other one what his charges are. So, like, if I'm the inmate, here, let's do this. So I'm the inmate, and Pee-wee's the other inmate, okay? Hey, CO, can you tell this guy here, right here, what my charges are? What would you do? First of all, what do you think's going on right there?
Yeah, what? Can you tell me this guy's charges?
Hey, CO, this guy thinks I'm a sex offender. Can you tell him I'm not a sex offender? What would you do? Would you tell him what the charges are? Would you lie to him? What would you do? I would call my supervisor, and I would... Don't call your supervisor. What would you do? Here's what's happening here, in case you didn't know. That inmate is asking you to co-sign on a lie that he's been telling these other inmates because these inmates want to beat him up. Because they think he's a sex offender. And so they want proof from you, from the officer, that he's not. Well, guess what? He is. So what are you going to do? So you go to the computer and tell them to keep walking. You're right. Keep stepping. Amanda says, keep stepping. Keep it stepping. Keep it pushing. That's what they... Keep it pushing. Let's see. Ann says, simply tell them that I won't be telling you that info. And that if you could tell them, setting the CO up. You're right. Hey, here's the deal. Yeah, so what's the dangers of that? So this guy now, so here's this inmate who is a sex offender, right? Who's wanting the officer to lie for him to this other inmate. So what are the dangers of that? Why should we not do that? Well, because that aligns us. First of all you have to do is say what Amanda said. You know what? Get out of here. I'm not telling. First of all, policy and procedure says that I'm not going to say that. I've been around too long, but a newer person might say, policy prohibits me from sharing anybody's charges. I'm not going to tell you. If you want to tell them what you're in here for, you can. I'm not going to give you that information. Please keep moving. What you don't want to do is look it up, and then hopefully you got a poker face. And then, so Pat says, starting the manipulation. You're 100% right. And I wish Anthony was on here tonight. He's writing a book on inmate manipulation. And this is a real life example right here. I've read his book, and it's super good, guys. Listen, as a 16-year vet, there's concepts in this book, this inmate manipulation book that he's writing, that I didn't even think about. And here's one of these moments, right? Just tell him no. No, I'm not going to tell you. No, that's none of your business. Get out of here. And that's it. Here's what happens. BJ says, tell the truth. Inmate gets beat up, lie, and loses credibility. Why, yes, this inmate is a sex offender. Yeah, your suspicions were right. They'll just call the family and Google the inmate. No, you're right. Roland, here's the thing. They're going to find out anyways. They're going to find out through the news. I was in a housing unit one time, and I'm talking to this inmate. And there's an inmate directly on the phone behind him on the phone banks, sitting there chatting with him. And I'm talking here. Let's get Paul Rubens out here again. So I'm talking, right? This is the inmate, boom, and this is me. And I'm talking. All of a sudden, some guy from behind him, boom, blasts him. Sorry, Paul. Blasts him because he was on the phone verifying that guy was the one who shot his kid. Right? So they get the information anyway. So here's the problem. Here's the danger of lying because you can't say no. First of all, a couple of things are happening here. Number one, either you think that you're helping that individual, which you shouldn't do, right? You should never break policy and procedure to help an inmate, right? That's number one, because that puts you in debt to that inmate, right? That's just somewhere that you don't want to. Just say no. Say no, I'm not doing it. But now you do, so you lie. You lie. No. He's in here for domestic violence. Okay. All right, so the guy leans over and says, hey, told you. And so the guy turns around and says, you know what, guys, he's cool. He's in here for DV. Don't worry about it. What's the problem there? Here's the problem. So the problem is that inmate comes up later to me to follow up. Oh, this is hypothetical. Never mind. Let's say he hypothetically comes up to me at a later time and says, hey, Young, I don't trust that guy. He's lied about, he told this guy he came from this unit, this guy he came from this unit, this guy he came from this unit, and they're all 3 different units. So you know what that means? The inmates already know the answer. They're smart. They already know the answer. So now here's what happens. Now you got a situation. Because now you have an inmate, a vulnerable inmate, who the inmates know, and then they know that that officer lied to them. So now she loses her credibility, he or she, hypothetical. They lose their credibility. Now what happens if they beat the crap out of that inmate? And now you're on the hook for that. Or what if the inmates find out that you lied to them and then they decide to go after you? And now they blackmail you. Now they decide to pressure you and say, hey, I know you broke policy. I know you lied for that inmate. And matter of fact, we're going to kill that guy, but we won't if you do this for us. And that's how it all starts. Today you're letting them borrow your pen. Tomorrow you're bringing in heroin. And it sounds stupid, but that's what it is. That's how the game is set up. Inmate manipulation, man, it's a real deal. Real deal Holyfield, that's what they say. Real deal Holyfield. And I like your answer there, right there. Simply tell them that you don't want to do it. That's very good. What was I saying about the haunted house? Well, I want you to put your haunted house recommendations down so I can do it. Somebody just gave me a thumbs up. What's another question? Has anybody got any questions? I had zero plan rolling in tonight. In fact, I just got back from the haunted house, and I said, my buddy Roland texted me and he said, hey, where's the SNS tonight? And I said, I was going to take the week off. And then I felt bad, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to flip my lights on, I'm going to go. I got no plan, I'm just going to go. I want you guys, I don't have my copy of the Lemonade Stand, it's in my bag. That book, guys, if you're looking for a good piece of literature, an easy read. Well, it's not an easy read. It's a short read, but let me tell you this. What's up, Jed? Hey, Jed. Jed, we just sung Happy Birthday to you, buddy. And you missed it. If you scroll through the comments, man, everybody's wishing you happy birthday. And I personally just wanted to go live tonight for 2 reasons. Number one, to ramble incoherently for 45 to 55 minutes. And number 2, just to say happy birthday to you, buddy, and tell you how much I think you're awesome. And it's a pleasure to be second negotiator next to you. I'll give you number 1. I'll take number 2. I'm just kidding. You guys are awesome. You know who's number 2 probably is? Well, I don't know. I don't want to get in favors, but you guys are crazy good at what you do. You taught me so much about communication. You taught me so much about negotiation. The things that here's one of the main things that we practice, and it seemed so stupid at the time, but they have you practice introducing yourself. Hi, I'm Bill. How can I help you? Or what's going on today? And you're and when you're practicing, you're thinking this doesn't feel natural. It's so silly. But I'll tell you what, the minute you get into a real deal and you go up to that door, you go up to that inmate, that situation, and you start talking and you introduce yourself, man, it works. They know what they're doing. They won an award for that. All right, so let's see here. Pat Berry says, I'm new on Twitter and I have exactly 4 followers. One of them is you. How do I up my Twitter game? Well, I'm not a Twitter connoisseur. I am on Twitter. And Twitter is, it's something else. It's filthy. But I think you just need to start following people and then tweet. One of the main things is you have to tweet for people to like your tweets, to follow, to retweet your tweets. So you've been on there for a few days and you've tweeted maybe twice. And I think you've tweeted 4 times. 2 of those were just retweeting my tweets. So you need to. How do you up your Twitter game? Step number 1: tweet. That's that's the main thing. Here's what I want you to do. Everybody on Twitter, put your Twitter handle in the comments. And if you are listening, watching this right now, I want you to get on, and I want you to get on Twitter if you have a Twitter, and I want you to follow Pat Berry. And it's at, let me put it in here, at Fire Pit Mystic on Twitter, right there, boom, at Fire Pit Mystic on Twitter. That's how you get more Twitter followers. All right, so what else do we got? We did boots. We covered boots. You guys want to know what my favorite protein shake is? That was a scary thing, man. When I got that pass on, hypothetically got that pass on about that individual in that situation, and I told that officer, it's not good. It's not good. You have to just be able to say no, because it sets up the game. Now that's not a do or die moment there, but it could be. It really, really could be. And you just have to pay attention. You just have to be aware. What do we got here? Rolling. Bullets or burritos? I had burritos for dinner last night. I had some refried beans, fat-free, a little bit of cheese, a little bit of sour cream. I missed the Taco Bell number 7 combo. In the 90s, used to be 2 bean burritos without onions, add sour cream, and I'd get a Mountain Dew with it. Now I get a Baja Blast. Baja Blast is fantastic. So death by burritos and dinner by burritos as well. There's a funny story about that bullets and burritos. He's referring to 6 reasons in this book. And there's a funny story about that. I wrote this story, and it's about an individual that would go home every night, and he'd put 6 bullets in his revolver and take a bullet out for every reason that he could think of to live, and that he'd put the gun to his head and pull the trigger. And it's a great story. And Pat Berry was on the show, the SNS, several months ago, and he kind of had a different perspective on that, saying, hey, look, the guy, I was looking at it negatively and saying, hey, the guy is like playing Russian roulette every night. And Pat said, but hey, look, though, he's finding reasons every single night, to keep going. But anyways, I sent that article to a popular correctional website, and they didn't want to print it. They wouldn't print it. And I wasn't sure why, so I kind of went back and forth with her a little bit. Didn't want to burn any bridges, but they didn't want to print it. The following day, they came out with a video of a police officer talking about how he stayed up on the phone all night with another police officer who was threatening suicide. It was essentially my story, only somebody talking. And it was a police officer. So I sent her another email that said, hey, how come you don't want to print this about corrections, but you essentially printed the exact same story about a police officer? Guess what the response was? That's right. That's what the response was. Nothing. I didn't get a response. That's why it's so important for people like John and SDC to exist. Why Project Watchtower needs to exist. Why the Saturday Night Synopsis, the 10-9 podcast need to exist. Why Tier Talk needs to exist. Keepers of Chaos needs to exist, needs to be supported. Because if we aren't out there beating the drum for our own people, for our own safety, for our own sanity, then nobody will. Because nobody cares about corrections. Except correctional officers. And sometimes we don't even care about ourselves. Because we're all in survival mode right now. We are all just putting our head down and racing to the weekend, trying to survive. And look, I don't blame you, but let's try to do a little bit better. Let's just try to do a little bit. Here's what I want to do. And Roland loves, if Roland's still listening, Roland loves when I challenge people, when I ask people to do things. But I want you to check on somebody this week. I want you to check on an officer or a staff member that you haven't seen in a little bit. Or maybe you have. Maybe you just pull them aside and just say, hey, how you doing? How's everything going? How's the family? And see what they say. Have a little conversation with them. Build that foundation. Build that rapport. Okay? So when something traumatic does happen, when something tragic does happen, when they feel like they need to reach out, it's not alien, right? It's not the first time that you've ever talked to them. Because here's what happens. We had a situation a couple weeks ago. Could have been a very tragic. Holy shit, you know. I don't know. I'm still freaked out about it. But you call these people and you want to make sure they're okay, but if they've never heard from you before, if they've never talked to you before, they think that you're just calling for information. They're thinking that you're just trying to figure out the dirt, the story, to talk shit about them behind their back. That's what they think. That's not what we should be doing, right? Yes, Trish, boots on the ground. Boots on the ground in Canada. Derek Wilson. I talk with Derek Wilson all the time. Great supporter. In fact, in Canada, I watch a lot of stuff that Canada's doing because they are getting after it. They are hardcore getting their government to recognize correctional officers as first responders. They're putting some good videos together. They're doing a lot of doing a lot of things. And we don't have a lot of that here in the United States. So I follow Boots on the Ground. And there's a couple, hey, Tom Pope, how you doing? And there's a couple other organizations that I follow, a couple guys that I talk to up there. And our brothers and sisters in the Great White North doing amazing things. And I appreciate it. Good work. What they're doing. Anybody, if I forgot anybody else, or if there's a group that you know of that I didn't mention, that I've never mentioned, let me know. Put it on there and I'll check it out. Also, if you have a book, or if you know somebody who's writing a book about corrections, or if you know somebody who would be like an awesome interview, or somebody that you feel like, hey man, if Bill talks to this person, that would be an awesome show, then send them my way. Or you send me a message and I'll get a hold of that person and we'll chat with them. Because I love bringing people's stories to you. I love letting them talk about it, talk about their experiences, their knowledge, You know who I got to get back on the show? I got to get Russ Hamilton back on the show. I could listen. I should do a Russ Hamilton marathon and let him talk for 4, 5, 6 hours. This guy, wealth of, and I talked to a sergeant the other night that's been in our building for 30 years. He's getting ready to retire. And I told him, I said, it's a shame that when you leave, all of your knowledge, all of your experience, all of that information, it leaves with you. And I'm looking around in the hallways, and I'm like, holy crap, where are all these guys going? They're all retiring, these guys and girls. And now it's just me. Now it's just me and Roland just standing there. Wings of Change in Canada, too. Very good. I'll check them out. Carrie, I'll check it out. Thank you very much. Tom, how you doing tonight, buddy? I was talking about my haunted house. I was going to read you guys a section. I read a little section a couple of weeks ago, and I want to read. I'm going to read you just a little part here, because it feels like sometimes like we're drowning. Do you guys mind if I read you a little bit? I'm going to read you just a couple of chapters here. Okay. See, I know at the beginning of my work week, my Monday, that I'm going to have to work an overwhelming amount of overtime. And like our hero, I try to prepare myself to calm myself so that I can hold my breath for as long as it takes to survive. My uniform is clean and pressed, and my lunch is packed, and I leave knowing I'm going to get the call. I saw the schedule. I know that we're understaffed, but it doesn't make it any easier. I take a deep breath, and I go under. 17 hours later, I get home at the same time that my kids get home from school. I greet them, and I ask how their day was. This moment, this quick breath doesn't last long because I have to sleep. Tomorrow's schedule looks even worse than today's. So I kiss my daughter on the forehead and tell her to do her homework, and then I shut the bedroom door and I try to go to sleep. My alarm goes off 4 hours later, and I swing my feet over the bed, and I am disoriented and distant. I sit for a minute while I try to get my bearings. What day is it? What time is it? Then I get dressed and grab my lunch, and I say good night. I take a deep breath because I'm going back under. Halfway through my shift, the phone rings, and I get the call for the second day in a row I'll be staying for a double shift. Thankfully, I'm wearing those Under Armour boots that we talked about, right, Chris? I tell myself that I can do this. It's not a problem. I try to do the math in my head. I didn't get to bed until 1,700 hours, and I slept until 2,100 hours, so I should be fine. When I get off, when I'm allowed to leave, I will have only been awake for 22 hours, and that's well below the 34 hours I was awake for last week. Then I start thinking about all the things that I'm going to miss today because I'm underwater. And if there was a camera pointed at my face, if the camera was trained on my eyes, it would capture the transformation from patience to panic. 2 days of my life are gone. Just like that. That's a chapter called I'm Drowning in my book. And hey, Kendrick, how you doing? It's a chapter in my book, When Home Becomes a Housing Unit. It's about feeling like we're suffocating, we're drowning, we can't get out of corrections. But here's what I want you to do. If you feel that way, you have to search, man. You have to look for meaning. You have to make the most of your time off, however short it is. It's about the quality, not the quantity necessarily. And realize that when you go into that building, when you go into your facility, no more Diet Coke. That everybody in that building is missing something. Everybody in that building is going through the same thing. Everybody in that building wants to go home, but nobody can go home, right? It's like the Hotel California. So know that you're not the only one. Know that you're not the only one that is under an insane amount of stress. Know you're not the only one that's fighting with your spouse because you can't get off on time to take the kids to school or to go to your sister-in-law's dinner party, right? Rely on those people, talk to those people, commiserate with those people. Foster those relationships, build that foundation. It helps, it really does. It really does. Look around at those people. Those are your people. Those are people that have put their life on the line for you. Yeah. Roland texted me a picture earlier of his fire pit and in his backyard. So he said, where's the SNS? I said, bye week. He said, that's bullshit. And he texted me a picture of his fire pit in his backyard. See, look. That's awesome. I wish I was sitting by a fire pit tonight, but I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to go to bed. Because I'm going to get up, and I'm going to enjoy my self-care Sunday. All right, guys, that's all I got for you tonight. I just wanted to check in. Again, next week, I'm going to have the king of the Tier Talk Empire, Mr. Anthony Ganji, on the show, and we're going to be answering questions, talking scenarios. I'll probably be mocking him, making fun of him a little bit, and maybe we'll play a little Correctional Jeopardy. I'm not sure. And then the following week, we'll have Carl Wagon on the show, and we're going to be talking about myths associated with PTSD, depression, anxiety. And that should be a fun show. Carl is an awesome guy. Anthony's an awesome guy. When I have them both on the show, I hardly have to talk at all. Guys, if you have time, get on your favorite podcast platform. Check out the Saturday Night Synopsis. Leave me a review. Leave me a rating. Leave me a comment on Facebook. Go to Just Corrections on YouTube. Check all that stuff out. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's anything that you're looking or desiring to have on the show to have me talk about, and I'll try to work it in. Also, if you get time, go to the 10-9 podcast, which we release episodes on Thursdays. Okay? It's me, my co-host, Roland Peters. We talk about corrections, but it's just a little bit different than what the Saturday Night Synopsis is. Give it a shot. Something new we're trying. I'm trying to relax, have a little bit of fun, and imagine if you are coming in between shifts and you're watching two burned out veteran officers shooting the shit between shifts, and that's kind of what the 10-9 podcast is. And then, because I read something this weekend about podcast, and it says that the average podcast consumer listens to 3 to 5 podcasts. So I want you to listen to another one. I want you to listen to 3 Guys Around a Fire Pit podcast. 3 Guys Around a Fire Pit podcast. It's me and my 2 good buddies, which I wrote about in my book, When Home Becomes a Housing Unit. Check it out on Amazon. And we have fun. We talk about all of the crazy things that 3 middle-aged guys talk about when they sit around a fire pit, right? We've done an episode on dreams. We've done an episode on death, which I talk about my career in the funeral service, but I talk a lot about how death has changed me, which is very similar to how it's affected me here in my correctional career. So it's a lot of good information for you guys to check that episode out. Death, that's coming out Tuesday. Dealing with death or something like that. But 3 Guys Run a Fire Pit podcast. We have an episode coming up on OBE's, outer body experiences, which are super awesome. And then we took a tour of a haunted museum, and we have an episode coming up about that. So we have all kinds of craziness coming out. So that is your recreational fun podcast. So check out that 3 Guys Around a Fire Pit podcast. It's got a Facebook page. We're on Twitter. 10-9 podcast, the Saturday Night Synopsis podcast, and then all the other really cool podcasts that I talked about earlier. Guys, check out my book, When Home Becomes a Housing Unit. Check out the I'm Possible Project Lemonade Stand book. Well, that's what I was going to talk about earlier, but I'll talk about that a little bit next week, because that's an amazing piece of Josh Riverdale and Kathleen Meyer put together 20 amazing stories. Well, I'm one of those. So 19 amazing people with amazing stories, and then me, and put them together in a book. And this book is unreal, out of control, insane. If you're interested in I'm just going to tell you this right now. If you know somebody who works in the emergency services, corrections, military, EMT, paramedics, dispatcher, anybody, you have to read this book, because there is a piece of me and one of my experiences in every single chapter. And I could highlight that. I could highlight it and say, hey, look, this is me. This is me right here. It's just an amazing book. And I'll put up a link to where you can purchase that book. And I'm going to be giving some of those away here in the next few weeks. I'm going to autograph them and be giving some of those books away as well. So stay tuned for that. But the I'm Possible Project, Lemonade Stand, Josh Riverdale, 20 amazing authors. And then my new book that's coming out, I'll keep you up to date on that. The Nothing That Never Happened. And that's it. That's all I got. All right, guys, until next time, be smart, stay safe, stay sane, and we'll talk soon.
Hey, 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 yeah, hey, hey, yeah, yeah, hey, 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 yeah, 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 let's go.